Uh, McCaffrey's taken one. I'm going to take Saquon too. I think he has the clearest path to challenge McCaffrey for the points champion or the points lead at the end of the season.
Absolutely. And then after that, Michael Thomas goes, Zeke goes, Dalvin Cook goes, CEH goes. Leaves me an interesting pick. Kamara's on the board right now with that contract dispute. I don't know that I want any part of that. So I'm actually going to take Derrick Henry right here at the 107. Then Kamara, Jacobs, and Alex, you're on the clock.
Yeah, so best available running back is Austin Eckler. This being just a one quarterback, one flex league, I might, peek around and see at the wide receiver spot. Picking in 10th kind of stinks, guys. I don't know that I like this. I am gonna go running back heavy here. I will start this with a running back. I will go Austin Eckler.
Then Joe Mixon, Kenyon Drake, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams goes, and it's back to you after the turn.
And I wasn't too thrilled to see some of those names go, but I still have the chance of getting to Miles Sanders and Nick Chubb. And I think the smart play here is to go Miles Sanders. So that's who I'm going to take.
Man, the guy drafted 9th is loving his draft. You got Jacobs and Chubb.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yep. And then Tyreek Hill goes, and that puts me back on the clock. And there is a whole lot of stuff out there. Normally I'd take running back here, but Julio Jones at this position is too good a value to pass up. Then Lamar, Patrick Mahomes, Chris Godwin, George Kittle goes, and Kevin, you're back on the clock.
I think right here, I'm not going to push the running back issue. Going back to our conversation from a couple weeks ago, tiers. Like it's not there for me at the moment, but I do have DeAndre Hopkins sitting right there for me, right to pick, and he's kind of the break in a tier for me. So I'm going to go ahead and pick D-Hop up and start my team 1-1.
And then Chris Carson, James Conner, and it's back to you.
Wow. I was not expecting that from the AI. Good for them. So I have a couple different options here. If I'm going to chase running back, it's David Johnson. Or if I go back to the receiver we're looking at a Kenny Golladay, Mike Evans, Adam Thielen type role. DJ Moore is also out there if I wanted to, gamble on the guy who we've been touting on so much. And then Travis Kelce is available also, guys. I think for what I'm going to do with this lineup and being the high volume offense that I think it is, I am going to go with Mike Evans here and see what I can do about pairing those guys up.
And then Golladay, Kelce, Thielen, David Johnson go right after that. That puts me back on the board with the roster construct so far of Derrick Henry and Julio Jones. And so that kind of leaves me with an interesting pick here. It could go running back. I'm not necessarily in love with the options of Gurley, Taylor, or Bell or Fournette as the top 4 that the computers show me is available here. I'm going to actually take a guy that we've been touting all along, and I'm going to take that Mr. DJ Moore. Then Allen Robinson, Taylor goes, and Alex, you're back on the clock.
All right, so I've got Eckler and Sanders. This is just a 2 running back league, so I've got my 2 starting running backs, but it is a single flex wide receiver, tight end, running back flex spot. So the wide receivers that I have available to me are Odell, not really huge on Odell Beckham, Juju Smith-Schuster, which admittedly I think I have some recency bias towards that. I'm not thrilled about that, but Big Ben is back, so that does make a case. But since I'm going to be picking in 4 picks after this, for my flex spot, I think I'm going to want to fill that, and I'm staring at a Todd Gurley available right here. So I'm going to go with a 3rd running back and take Todd Gurley in his new home.
Then Beckham, Bell, Kupp, Mark Ingram go, and you're back on the clock in the 4th.
So I was a little upset to see Kupp go. The AI is really playing some good games against us, Kevin. They're taking guys that we were targeting. I already have 3 running backs. I don't need to go back to that well here unless I would be looking at making a trade. But for these purposes, I don't think I'm going to. So we need to start filling out some other spots on this roster. Juju is at a good spot here. With Big Ben coming back, I could also take Amari Cooper. Calvin Ridley's available. I think I'm going to actually pass on Juju and go Amari Cooper, which may not be the right move given all the options down there in Dallas, but I still like it.
Gotcha. That guy picking in the 8th spot there, definitely gambling with contracts right there. Alvin Kamara and Leonard Fournette on that roster. So it leaves me an interesting spot here. Could go several different ways, and yeah, at that point, I'm gonna take I feel almost like I've got to take a running back here. And I'm going to take the guy that I just was talking about as a riser on my a few moments ago. And that's going to be Ronald Jones. Metcalf, Ridley, Gordon go, Robert Woods, and that leaves Kevin back on the clock.
The computer got me. I was really looking at Melvin Gordon there in that 4th round, thinking that I was going to be pretty happy with that. So I think looking at the 2 spot, the guy who's picking next already has 3 running backs. So I'm going to shy away from the running back position here for a moment. And I'm going to look at receiver right here and look to kind of finish filling out my roster as far as the flex position goes. So I'm going to be looking at one. I'm looking at DJ Chark. I'm looking at Tyler Lockett. Are kind of the 2 guys who really stick out in my mind. And I think for what it is, I don't love any of these options, guys. Actually, I'm going to punt, and I'm going to go Devin Singletary, as much as that pains me. Andrews and Lockett went, and then I still end up with a running back situation at the top of the 5th, and I'm going to go with a DJ Chark to round out my flex position.
And then DeAndre Swift, Terry McLaurin go, Raheem Mostert goes, Keenan Allen goes, and that puts me back on the clock. So far, a roster construct of Derrick Henry, Julio Jones, DJ Moore, Ronald Jones II, and that leaves us with, just kind of an interesting spot here. We're going to pick up another running back. Not overly happy right now with what that running back spot looked like. Usually like to pick up 2 running backs in the first 2 rounds, but we're going to take Kareem Hunt in the 5th. A.J. Brown goes, Zach Ertz goes, and Alex, back to you.
So my roster right now is Eckler, Sanders, Gurley, Cooper, and obviously I'm going to try to look at wide receiver here, but the options that I'm seeing for this spot, T.Y. Hilton, Cortland Sutton, we got Marquise Brown. Those are probably our next options. Tight end, we're still, I think, a ways out where I can hold off, being that kind of the top 4 have already gone with Ertz going right in front of me. So I'm going to turn my attention and maybe start the run here. But I'm going to go quarterback, and I'm taking Dak Prescott.
And then T.Y., Cam Akers, Kyler Murray, Marquise Brown, and back to you.
All right, so now I need to turn and see what I've got for wide receiver. I'm a little bit more comfortable at taking a Cortland Sutton here in the 6th, so that's what I'll do. I'll take Cortland Sutton to give me another pretty good 1 wide receiver.
There you go. Then Russell Wilson goes, Stephon Diggs goes, and then that puts me back on the clock, and lots of interesting options here to go with. You've got some strong quarterbacks still on the board. You've got some options at running back there. David Montgomery's on the board, and at the 6th round, that's maybe a little bit of value there, even with him banged up. But the wide receiver value here is screaming value. So that's where I'm going to go. And I'm actually going to take a guy, since I've already got 2 stud wide receivers. I'm going to pick up AJ Green and take a little bit of risk there. Darren Waller, J.K. Dobbins, Deshaun Watson, James White. Back to you, Kevin.
Devontae Parker's staring me right in the face. I could go David Montgomery, but I don't necessarily love that. Tyler Boyd's right there as well. But I think for what it is, and my team is going to have to be built more around wide receiver and the depth there. So I'm going to take Devontae Parker and be pretty happy that that's my fourth wide receiver.
Yeah. Then Julian Edelman, Drew Brees, and it's back to you.
Coming back to me, I could go wide receiver here again, but what I am going to do, much to my dismay, is I'm going to reach here slightly, and I'm going to grab a Jordan Howard, who I think is going to be carrying the early down work there in Miami to help give me a little bit of running back depth.
Absolutely. Then Matt Ryan comes off the board. Montgomery, Gronk, Michael Gallup, and that puts me back on the board. And yeah, I was really hoping that I had either David Montgomery or Michael Gallup fall to me. Would have been very, very happy with that outcome. But that being the case, we'll go with a guy that I think has the potential to be wide receiver 1 and have a top 15 finish at the wide receiver position as my fourth wide receiver on the board, and that's Brandon Cooks. Antonio Gibson comes off the board, Tyler Boyd, and that puts it back to you, Alex.
All right, so I've already got the 3 running backs. I've got 2 wide receivers and my quarterback in Dak. Still need to fill out a tight end spot for my starting roster. Evan Ingram's available, Hayden Hurst is available, but I feel like those guys will still probably be available. Although looking at the couple of guys that are after me, they also don't have a tight end, so I do need to be careful. But I'm okay with a couple of options here with whatever comes back around to me. So probably going to go tight end next, but I'm looking at the wide receivers here. Will Fuller the fifth. I have a love-hate relationship with Will Fuller the fifth. I love that he will be awesome for 5 games. I hate that I will only get him for 5 games. So I'm going to stay away from Will Fuller. I'm actually going to go probably a little bit down, and this is more probably too much of a reach at this point, but I want a piece. I want a piece of the New Orleans offense. I'm
way
gonna
too
reach.
early.
I'm gonna
way
reach
too
here.
early.
I'm gonna reach because my other option is CeeDee Lamb, and that gives me a second Dallas receiver. I've already got the stack with Amari and Dak. Not gonna go there. So I'm gonna reach. I'm gonna take Emmanuel Sanders.
Then Will Fuller, Marlon Mack, Evan Ingram, Tariq Cohen, and that puts it back to you, Alex.
All right, so I need the tight end. Hayden Hurst is still there. I am definitely okay taking Hayden Hurst here in the 8th round to give me a good tight end.
Then Jarvis Landry comes off the board. Zach Moss comes off the board. That brings that back to me in the 8th so far team construct. Henry, Julio, DJ Moore, Ronald Jones, Kareem Hunt, AJ Green, and Brandon Cooks. So 3 running backs, 4 wide receivers. And I could start looking towards some of these other positions for, tight end, for quarterback, things like that. But there's a guy down the way a little bit on the running back that potentially is going to be a little bit of a reach here, but even at that point I think he's got some upside, and with already 3 running backs on it, I'll take the risk that's associated with Kerryon Johnson. Phillips Lindsay, Deontay Johnson, Deebo Samuel, CeeDee Lamb comes off the board, and it's back to you, Kevin.
All right, so we could go best available overall would be what the computer's telling us is Tom Brady for my quarterback. There's also Tyler Higbee there at tight end, Aaron Rodgers, Latavius Murray, Marvin Jones. I think for what I'm doing, I still am a little uneasy about my running back position, so I'm going to pick up Latavius Murray to give me just that little bit extra depth there that I'm kind of looking for, because I don't want Breida and Howard on my team. Only want one or the other. And then coming back around, we're looking at Higbee, Hunter Henry, Tom Brady still there. There's a Josh Allen that's right there. Mecole Hardman, depending on what I'm wanting out of this. I think for the sake of the draft, I'm going to change things up here a little bit. I'm going to go with a guy I don't have very much of, but we're going to try this out. And one, Jamison Crowder. They have to throw the ball to somebody in New York.
And then Burita comes off the board. Alexander Madison, Aaron Rodgers, Hunter Henry. That puts me back on the board. And there's, again, several different ways that we can go here. Now, a lot of times, especially if you're talking hometown leagues, sometimes it's just a lot of fun to take somebody else's guy, so to speak. And so I think that's what we're going to do here. Sorry, Alex. Carson Wentz is the guy. Tyler Higbee, Tom Brady. Alex, back to you.
Yeah, that's okay. I already got a quarterback. All right. So I'm looking at I kind of want to be running back here just to make sure that I've got the complete depth. I haven't taken a running back since the first 3 rounds, so we are getting to a little bit of this is where you earn your keep here. So best available, as the computer's telling us, is Damian Harris out of New England. We got a Chase Edmonds out of Arizona, which I'm a little intrigued by. I'll tell you what, I was really hoping that Alexander Madison would get back to me, and I didn't think that he would. So to have this handcuff, which isn't a handcuff, but I'm going to go with Edmonds here out of Arizona.
And then Harris, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, the San Francisco defense comes off the board. And Alex, back to you.
Interesting. We do only have I only have 4 picks left here, and to see a defense come off the board kind of gets my attention that maybe there's a run that's about to happen. I don't know that I would be too concerned. It's a 12-team league, but I am going to get on the defensive side here. I'm going to take the Ravens defense because I feel like that run, I don't want to be left behind.
And then Mecole Hardman, Josh Allen, that puts me on the board there. Still staring down, needing a tight end. And, again, several different ways we can go there. Still need a defense. And then I'm looking for depth as well at some of these other positions. And so at this point in the draft, I'm looking for somebody that can give me a lot of upside. Definitely worth it. I'm going to end up taking a little bit of a my guy here in Preston Williams.
I knew that was coming.
AJ Dillon, Sony Michel, Darrell Henderson, and Jalen Reagor comes off the board. Back to you, Kevin.
I have 4 picks left, and I still have 3 positions to fill in quarterback, tight end, and defense. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start and get ourselves a quarterback, Matt Stafford, who is a guy that I really like. And then I'm actually going to double that up, and I'm going to follow that with a Daniel Jones and just stream between the two. And I'm perfectly happy doing that, streaming between Daniel Jones and Matt Stafford.
Yeah, no, that's a solid pickup there. Justin Jefferson, Jared Cook, Tony Pollard, Boston Scott, and that puts it back to me. I am just going to start filling out areas of need here. I'm going to do something that I never do just because it's a mock, and I want to see what my team looks like doing it this way. But I'm going to take a defense super early for me, and I'm going to take the Steelers defense here. Bryce Love comes off the board. Adrian Peterson, back to you, Alex.
Okay, a little peeved at the AI here because I was kind of targeting Justin Jefferson here, so that kind of peeves me there that he went. So I'm still looking at wide receiver. I think that I could really fill it out here. Sterling Shepard's available. I've got Anthony Miller available. Deshaun Jackson's available. Really, none of them are jumping out at me, but I pretty much have pigeonholed myself here into getting a wide receiver. So I'm going to go Sterling Shepard. I'm not thrilled about that.
Then Noah Fant comes off the board. Cam Newton, the Bills defense, Ben Roethlisberger, back to you.
And we'll take a look. I know I have Dak, but, you're going to need another decent quarterback. Joe Burrow's the best available, they say, but I'm not sure I like that. So I'm going to actually go a little bit further down. really my thought process here is I think out loud. I want quarterback here because I'm really just doing depth. I'm in between a Phillip Rivers and a Kirk Cousins. I think I'm going to go Phil here. It's a backup. I'm going to play him once on Dak's bye week.
And then the Bears go, the Patriots go. It's back to me. I'm going to take another little shot here on a guy that's off some news over the last couple of days. May see a lot of run time there in Jacksonville, and I'm going to take Armstead. The Chargers, the Seahawks defense, Cowboys defense, Packers defense, and the run is definitely on. Kevin, back to you in the 12th.
That's a good Armstead pick right there, Derek. I was going to punt picking a defense to pick up Armstead if he'd fallen back to me. So you definitely got in at the right time there. So tight end or defense, the decision is solely up to me. And kind of see where I want to go. There's actually quite a few options out there for tight end still. Austin Hooper is still there in the 12th round, as we've been telling people. TJ Hawkinson is still there. Mike Gesicki, Jonnu Smith, Jack Doyle. I'm going to go with Gesicki here. He's kind of the highest guy for me in that tier right now based off of what's going on. And even though I already have a Devontae Parker, I think Gesicki gives me the best chance for consistent points week over week.
And then Tampa Bay's defense, Anthony Miller comes off the board. Back to you, Kevin, for your last pick of the draft.
Last pick is a defense. Whoop-de-freaking-do on the defense. You can stream a defense. It's not that big of a deal. And actually, I know that the Philadelphia Eagles play the Washington football team in week 1. So I'm actually going to pick up the Eagles defense because I know their opponent in week 1.
There you go. Duke Johnson, Deshaun Jackson, Brandon Ayuk, Alan Lazard comes off the board. And that puts me on the clock. I have to take tight end here. It's the only spot that I have not filled. And a guy that Kevin talked about as far as his kind of risers going up the board and somebody to look out for in those late rounds would be an Austin Hooper. And that's where I'm going to go with this pick. Joe Burrow comes off the board. Justin Jackson, back to you, Alex.
I was going to take Justin Jackson there. I needed the handcuff for Austin Eckler. I'm really peeved at this AI right now. All right. Last pick here. I'm going to go running back, even though I have, 3 of them, but you can never have enough. Oh, I can't believe he took that. Here I was just
well,
set.
At least it took until the 13th round for you to go on to tilt.
I've got Keyshawn Vaughn available out of Tampa, Nyheim Hines. Oh boy, I was just hoping for the handcuff, but I will have to go for another backup here. We'll take a flyer on the rookie on Vaughn out of Tampa.
And then Sammy Watkins, Michael Pittman rounded out to finish the draft off. So, guys, why don't you go ahead and go through and just run your team down real quick for the listeners.
All right, so drafting out of the 2-hole, I ended up with Barkley, Hopkins, Evans, Singletary, DJ Chark, Devontae Parker, Jordan Howard, Latavius Murray, Jamison Crowder, Matt Stafford, Daniel Jones, Mike Gesicki, and the Eagles defense and special teams.
I was drafting out of the 7th spot, and I got Derrick Henry, Julio Jones, DJ Moore, Ronald Jones, Kareem Hunt, AJ Green, Brandon Cooks, Kerryon Johnson, Carson Wentz, Preston Williams, the Pittsburgh defense, Armstead, and Austin Hooper. Alex, break down your squad.
All right, so we got Eckler in the first, Sanders after that, Todd Gurley, Amari Cooper, Dak Prescott, Cortland Sutton, Emmanuel Sanders, Hayden Hurst, Chase Edmonds, the Ravens defense, Sterling Shepard, Phillip Rivers, and Keyshawn Vaughn.